What's going on, everybody? Week 13, Thanksgiving NFL, one of the best days of the year, not only for, friends and family, but like how many days are there really in the year, Jake, where you get to wake up, gamble all morning long, and the next thing you know, you're watching football for the rest of the day?
Not many. I think one. I think it's Thanksgiving. So
And now Christmas, though, they're taking NFL's taking over.
maybe my
Definitely
birthday, depending on what day. My birthday lands on a Saturday this year, so maybe that day as well. But yeah, not many.
not many days, but this is the time, boys. We have a full slate. Give me 1 second here to get the promo tweet out, and we're going to dive into every single game on the board. So, quick reminder for everybody: I'm also streaming tomorrow morning, where I'll be using like all of the boosts for Thanksgiving and all of those plays. So that will be happening now tomorrow morning. But right now, Jake and I are talking about our best bets from a game line perspective, as well as some anytime touchdown props that we have for the entire slate. So we'll definitely be giving out some plays for Thanksgiving right now, but we're also going to be utilizing all of the boosts, the promos, all that fun stuff, the parlays. Like we will cook a touchdown parlay for you guys here and now, but the regular streams that I run for like prime times, etc., tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock EST. So, without further ado, we have Packers, Lions. Lions, of course, always on Thanksgiving. And this is a massive game, the NFC North. 7-4 Detroit Lions, 7-3-1 Green Bay Packers. The Lions just escaped the Jameis Winston's grip on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. Packers cruise to a dub. Jake, where's your head at in this Lions-Packers NFC North showdown?
Yeah, I think we're on the same side here, Eric. I saw your text earlier today. I think Green Bay is going to be able to throw the ball all over Detroit here. Green Bay has been good through the air. Even with their hiccup games, Jordan Love still has a 103 QBR. So I like to look at that stat because it's showing how efficient your quarterback is playing regardless of the outside factors. And Detroit is an average pass defense at best. I mean, they got lit up by Jameis Winston and the New York Giants. Mariota threw for 213 and 2 touchdowns against them. They took a loss to Minnesota not short before that. One thing I will give Detroit is I don't think Green Bay is going to really be able to run the ball. I know Jacobs is penciled in to play here, but they've still been nothing special on the ground, even with Jacobs healthy. They were good without him healthy too, honestly. I'm not going to lie, but Detroit is good at stopping the run. So I think Jordan Love in this pass offense has a pretty good day here against Detroit. But then on the Detroit side, I do see Detroit possibly has a top 3 offense. I'll give them that. But Green Bay has a top 10 defense, pass defense, no doubt. And I'll give the edge to Detroit there, but not by much in the run game. I mean, dude, let's just talk about how good Gibbs is for a second. He's dirty,
so sick,
and he's so fun to watch. It's hard to say anyone will stop the run, but Green Bay does have a really, really good run defense here. 3 points is way too much for me, Eric. This is one of those games where I think it should be a pick 'em. So if I'm going to get 3 points with either of these teams, I'm going to take it. And I don't even mind Green Bay on the money line too. So I do have a best bet here. I took Green Bay +3. I got that at -120 on ESPN bets. I guess ESPN is still up. Green Bay will have success through the air pretty easily. And as good as Detroit's offense is, I think Green Bay's defense is just as good and can give Goff and company some issues here. So I like Green Bay getting a field goal. I mean, that should be free money there. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well.
So we're absolutely on the same page, Jake, and this is one of my best bets. This is, to be wrong team favored. I don't think it's that outlandish to say that the Green Bay Packers are the better football team than the Detroit Lions are at this point, and also for moving forward in the playoff possibility. And not just even looking back at week 1 when Green Bay beat Detroit and beat them handily, even going back to like Thanksgiving 2 years ago when the Packers beat the Lions outright, when the Jordan Love era was kind of just like really coming into full swing, and the Lions were, of course, like, the talk of the town as they finally been like really good. The way that the Packers defensive coordinator has played Jared Goff, he has some of his worst games against the Packers specifically, and also Jahmyr Gibbs has some poor games against the Green Bay Packers. I agree with your assessment that running the football is going to be very difficult for both sides, but especially for Detroit. And I was high on Green Bay early in the season, even pre the Micah Parsons trade. Like, Jake, you and I were talking about this back in August about how I was a pretty big fan of what I thought Green Bay could do. And even though a lot of their games lately have been a bit underwhelming, and you would expect them to want to be able to beat teams by bigger margins. Like we see, they barely escaped the Giants, lose to the Birds, lost right out to the Panthers. We can go through their schedule. There's some games that left a little bit to be desired. But I feel like that's also true with Detroit. And a lot of people coming to the season were mentioning how they anticipated Detroit to be kind of like on a downswing, 2 new coordinators. And while we saw that a bit, we've also seen them, of course, play really well. But the teams that they've really destroyed have been teams like Washington. They beat Tampa Bay, which we know is really banged up, a bad Cincinnati team, a bad Browns team. So it's not, to me, like a situation where they're like really out there dominating like good opponents and looking like the Lions the last couple of years. I think the opposite. And while it hasn't been so pretty for Green Bay, I think it's absolutely wrong team favorite. So give me Green Bay on the money line, this plus 140 on Profit X. I bet there's still some liquidity there. And I got a flat 3 minus 110 at ESPN about less than an hour ago at this point. So give me all things Green Bay in this one.
Yeah. And I'll also add, if getting the 3 is really important in my eyes, if I'm going to take the spread, if it gets down to, and you can only get a 2, a +2, a +1.5, a +2.5, just go on the money line for a little less units on the money line. I think that's more worth it than laying a +2.5 or a +2 at minus whatever, in my opinion. And that's me saying I have a +3 ticket already placed, but it definitely wouldn't be a play. I like +1.5 for me. I would just take the money line or something.
Yeah, so the 3 was up all week, or in the beginning of the week. Then they got shot down. It looks like some 3s are reappearing. 113 at Caesars, 115 MGM and ESPN bet,
Nice.
As high as 120 at 365. Though, of course, there's 108 at Profit. If you guys aren't using Profit X, use promo code BetSmart to get started at Profit X, a fantastic peer-to-peer betting exchange. But Jake and I on the same page, both of us locking in Green Bay plus the points, and I locked in the money line as well. So big start to Thanksgiving. Again, I'll remind everybody, tomorrow morning will be like the player prop show as well, where I'll be betting all the boosts, locking in like first touchdowns and all of that. So set your alarm for 9:00 tomorrow morning, Jake. But let's go to arguably one of the most highly anticipated games in recent NFL history. And not only because it's the Dallas Cowboys and the Kansas City Chiefs, but you're going to have all the normies, the Swifties. Like Goodell was salivating, I'm sure, when they were putting out this schedule for this year. They were like, absolutely.
And they're both healthy. What are the odds of that?
And everybody's healthy. And we have what's set to be a great game in the desert with the Cowboys getting plus 3.5 points. I'll start just about the spread because I do have 2 bets that I placed. I'll talk about them shortly. But from a spread perspective, Jake, as much as I love to bet on the Kansas City Chiefs when they're like small-ish favorites. 3.5, though, is like that cusp where I'm not like an auto bet on the Chiefs because like you have, of course, the hook of the 3. I think the spread's a bit high, though. I'm not going to run to the window to bet Dallas. Like, we've seen Dallas's defense really over the last couple of weeks showcase that they're not this disgustingly terrible Commanders-esque defense. They're really more middle of the pack. And Quinn Williams coming onto the scene has been an absolute dog for them up the middle. And the Chiefs are missing Trey Smith. So just going to say that from the spread perspective, this isn't to me like an auto bet on the Chiefs by any means. I think that this is pricing Dallas like they're like 18 to like 25 in the league, and they're really probably closer to like 13 to 16. So I think that the 3.5 is probably a bit much, but not running to the window. That's just my overall analysis on the spread here. But Jake, do you have any best bets, or what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I do. And I actually have a player prop here, but I will agree with you. I think Vegas is weighing the win over Indy way too much for Kansas City, where they arguably should not have won that game. Now they did, and those are the games that they won all last season. So we know that they're capable of it. I knew that line was a little fishy to begin with. But at the same time, is Indy, which I'll get to that when we break down their game later, is Indy actually worth favor or not favoring, but do they have as much weight to that win at like how they've been playing in the last couple of weeks with Daniel Jones not being the Daniel Jones we saw week 1 through 7? So that's a whole nother thing. But in short, I agree with you. I think the line is a little long, but I didn't want to touch it, right? So I do have a good prop. On the breaking this down, Kansas City on offense, we know that they're a very high-powered Kansas City team when they want to be. In versus Dallas defense, it's a great time to show up. But you just mentioned they actually haven't been half bad the last few weeks since the trade deadline when they acquired Logan Wilson. So he's a linebacker that they got from Cincinnati, I believe, and Quinnen Williams. they've allowed only 16 points to Las Vegas, which it's the Raiders, so who cares, and only 21 to Philly. And that 21 is impressive to me because they actually shut them out in the second half. So they are playing much better defense. Like, it's not like a jokingly bad defense the last couple of weeks. And not the craziest of offenses either. I mean, I'm high on Philly. So, like, I think Philly's offense is very good. They were able to really keep them in their grasp, but much better to what they were doing prior to the deadline. They were allowing like 44 points to Denver, 30 to Carolina, 31 to Chicago, 37 to the Giants. Like, that's jokingly bad. They have not been anywhere in that realm. They've definitely upgraded. And then on the Dallas side, I think they're definitely going to be able to throw the ball. Obviously, Dallas can sling the rock in Kansas City. This is a must win. But Daniel Jones has just not been very good. I just talked about it a little bit. And the Kansas City pass defense isn't even that great to begin with. So I think Dallas is going to be able to throw the ball on them here. They might even be able to run. But my player prop, the best bet in this game for me is I took Dak Prescott to have 24 completions. I got that at -105 on BetMGM. I do think this is going to be a game where Kansas City can be scoring the entire time or winning the entire time, or both, honestly, which will result in Dallas throwing the ball to keep up. Dallas also has found their success through the air all season. And the fact that the run game hasn't really been there or as efficient as it was in the beginning of the year, I think Dak is going to be throwing the ball all over the place here and clears this number easily. So my favorite play here is Dak Prescott to have 24 completions, and I did lock that in. So
love that. Looking like you got a snag there because I'm now seeing the market at 24.5. So did you get 24 plus or over 24
I got 23.5 on BetMGM like 4 hours ago at -105. There were a couple of 24.5s. There were also a couple like 23.5s that were juiced -120, -125, but MGM had -105. So when I saw that, I locked it in immediately.
Well, you're absolutely sniped. So absolutely love to see that with the Dak Prescott over 23.5 completions for Jake. There's some things that you said that I definitely agree with, and they all come together for me, though, for probably the squarest bet on the board. But I don't care. I bet the over. 52 flat, -110. This is one of my best bets of the week. KC Dallas over 52. Now, the reason why I'm so intrigued by the over here is you mentioned it. The KC offense has been absolutely incredible, and their game plans when they're playing at home versus on the road are so different. At home, they're a team that actually goes well under their team total because they do what they did against Indy, which is run the ball, control the possession, run the time down of the clock, and then have Mahomes, hopefully not make mistakes and then win a game on a late field goal, hence their previous success in the last couple of seasons in one-score games. But now they're on the fast track in Dallas, and everybody is really healthy. And while I did give Dallas's defense some credit, which they deserve, their defense is, again, nowhere near a terrible unit like they looked in the beginning of the year. They're definitely more of an average unit. The Chiefs, I think, will be able to move the football kind of at will. And then on the flip side, I think Dallas is going to have no problem moving the ball, like you said there too, Jake. The Chiefs haven't really been tested with a great offense that they played. The ones that they did play was Buffalo, which had a great offensive output against them. Even Jacksonville turned up on them. Baltimore with Lamar did well against them. And even some of the other teams that they played, like they played bad quarterbacks that didn't really do too well. And the Chiefs, on the other hand, haven't really had to face great quarterbacks, but then when they did, Justin Herbert cooked them in week one, if we remember. So I also think that the game plan, and this is why I had the Colts last week, which, hit by the hook, which ended up being a great bet, is I think that the Chiefs' game plan was also very Lou Anarumo specific with how they wanted to control the clock, because I mentioned how Mahomes had, some issues against him when he was the DC of the Bengals, and that game obviously came down to the wire there. But I think that we're going to see this game absolutely opened up on both sides. I don't think the Chiefs' defense in the passing game, particularly like you said, Jake, is going to have a lot of success. I think Dallas will be able to have success. Then I'm not betting against this KC offense by any means. So Kansas City Chiefs, Dallas Cowboys over 52, one of my best bets of the week. I also bet a player prop. Now, this is more of like a price bet, and there was a lot of EV there, and it's not available at the same price anymore, but I do still think it's like worth a look. I bet Kareem Hunt touchdown. Now, I know Pacheco is going to be playing here. I got plus 175, and as you see the rest of the market, there's 150s, 120 even at FanDuel, even with Pacheco being ruled in. But I expect the Chiefs to be moving the ball early and often, and when it comes to the goal line, even with Pacheco in the mix. As we know, the Chiefs are going to give the ball to Kareem Hunt. And yes, Quinn Williams has been a beast. And yes, no Trey Smith for the Chiefs, which is bad for them up the middle. But Kareem Hunt is death taxes. Kareem Hunt getting 2 yards on a 3rd down and 2. So I'm all for Kareem Hunt to score a touchdown, especially at the price I got it at.
Kids all over the game, huh?
All over it. And again, I'm going to have to say this reminder one more time because there are some, honestly, probably donations. I talked about this on stream the other day. Like Thanksgiving is the day where your cousin who places 5 bets a year is going to hit his 10-to-1 parlay. Your uncle who never gambles is going to say this long shot is hitting and it's going to hit. It's the day where your squares friend is going to hit, an absolute banger. So I will definitely be cooking up some fun parlays for the later games, for the games tomorrow morning on stream. But sticking to really the game lines here, KC or 52.5, but a bonus Kareem Hunt tutty. So pretty good feeling on this Chiefs Cowboys game. And that leads us to the return of Joe Burrow heading into Baltimore to play the Ravens in must-win games for both. I mean, the Ravens could afford another loss, but obviously a win here would be significant for their AFC North. The Bengals, they lose, they're probably realistically out.
Yeah, they're done.
So 7-point favorites in Baltimore, high total, 51.5. So expecting a classic, Joe Burrow versus Flacco, Flacco versus Lamar, like we would anticipate seeing, at any time here. Jake, what's your early read on this one?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow's back. Jamar Chase is also back. He was suspended last game. T. Higgins is out, though. And I think that's a very important piece here. I think Cincinnati is still going to struggle to score, even with Burrow and Higgins back. I mean, Jamar's receiving line, I think, is 7.5 receptions, and it's juiced like minus 140. I think that's crazy. The one thing Cincinnati might be able to do is run the ball a little bit. They've actually been a lot better at running the ball versus what they were doing earlier in the year. And then Baltimore on paper, they should have their way on offense. But the thing is, Cincinnati just did play pretty decent versus a good New England offense. Good New England offense, not defense. And Baltimore struggled versus the Giants, especially in the first half there. So I do have a best bet here. I took the first half under 26.5. I got that at minus 105 on FanDuel. Even with Burrow back, I don't think that they have enough firepower with Higgins out to score frequently on this Baltimore defense. I also think Cincinnati will have some success on the ground like they did last week. Same with Baltimore. I think we see a lot of running, especially in the first half here. Lots of clock ticking. And then Cincinnati's defense can prevent the explosive plays, I think, resulting in longer drives for Baltimore. And Baltimore, like I said, they got off to a very slow start last week versus the Giants. Another thing is Baltimore is 3-0 to the first half under in their last 3 home games. So I'm not a huge crazy trend guy, but I like seeing those, especially in first half and versus full game. As we know, some teams are second half teams. I think that's a good depiction that this will be a slower scoring first half. On top of that, it's not like we're getting a 20.5 total here. We're at 26.5. I think that's way too many based on what I've seen from these two teams in the last couple of weeks. So I also have a pretty heavy lean. I like Chase Brown over 53.5 rushing yards at minus 110. I got that at Bet365. So, yeah, I mean, that's just my reasoning to that is going based off of everything I just mentioned. And Chase Brown is coming off of one of his better rushing games. I think he just had 110 yards last week. So he's really turned things around the last month or so. 53.5 is a little low, especially with me thinking that everyone's focus is going to be on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase being back. Like, I think that Chase Brown can have a decent day on the ground too, and 53.5 yards isn't a crazy number. So that's where my head's at. But I only locked in the first half under as of right now. So it's my best bet in this game.
Gotcha. And listen, I'm never a trend better either, but you got to just eye this with Jamar Chase against the Ravens, $193 and a 264 receiving yard. He is the Raven killer. So understandable that his line is essentially 100 plus yards, especially with no T. Higgins. We'll can anticipate there being a funnel. And I can guarantee you, again, your Uncle Square best friend that Thanksgiving is absolutely going to be putting Jamar Chase touchdown and receiving yards with parlay. And guess what? He's probably going to be right. But more serious note, from a side perspective, I don't necessarily have anything that I like. I think that the 7.5 might be a bit inflated, but I'm I'm not going to say I'm a Joe Burrow hater because that's just not true, but like anybody ever coming off injuries, like even like we'll talk about CJ Stroud and coming off the concussion. We talk about even Brock Purdy when we get to the Niners eventually here, though he's a few games removed from injury. It's never a good situation, and like the data does back that up as well. So I am not going to take a side here, but I did lock in a player prop already. This one is actually, again, more of just like a pricing thing. I've snagged like a hell of a number, but it also is something that I definitely definitely could see hitting for various reasons. And my best bet in Cincinnati and Baltimore is Lamar over rushing yards. I got it at 21.5. As you see, even 26.5. Number is long gone. So I got a nice snag. And I think that while a lot of times on the show, I talk about how Lamar Jackson truly is a pocket passer and people always are running to like bet his overs. And I know Lamar was on the injury report a few times this week with dealing with a couple of ailments, but one, when the market was 26.5, even at Circa and like at MGM, it was 21.5. For me, that's like an auto bet it every single time. But I locked that in at that price for Lamar. There's so many avenues, of course, for him to get some rushing yards going. It is a must-win playoff-esque game, even though we're only in week 13. So in those games, you do anticipate the quarterbacks, putting the onus on themselves. And we're getting a question: is it chalk to take teasers on legal books this week? Yes. Yes, do not bet any form of teaser on any legal book. The odds are now at the point where there is zero value for betting on teasers on books. They used to be even money back in the day. Then they went to -110, still okay. Last year at -120 was all good. I'm talking about 6-point teasers. Now you're getting what, like -130, -140. The price of a teaser that it's only good at was up to -120. Now it's all past that. So even with like 10 points and all those like 7 points, all the prices are absolutely nuked. So teasers on legal recreationals, no bueno anymore.
I was a big teaser guy. This is the first year I took my foot off that gas pedal, honestly.
The prices don't. It's honestly, it's just straight math. Like the break-even percentage of teasers are gone.
Yeah, take all three that you want in a teaser and just take their spread or their over-under that you like straight, and if you hit 2 to 3, you're going to profit. So, which is usually the case. It's very rare that like all three you needed all those points in order for them to hit.
No, for sure. So we're going to move on to the rest of Sunday, but I'm going to remind everybody who's just hopping in. So here are my best bets for Sunday.
There's a Friday game.
Oh, we have a Friday game. Excuse me. You're absolutely right. We have a Black Friday game, and I also said Sunday, but my best bets for Thanksgiving are Green Bay money line and Green Bay +3. I think the wrong team is actually favored, and I think that the Packers at this point are still the better football team. And Goff has struggled against the Packers. KC and Dallas over 52. These are two defenses I think can be beaten in the air, and both of these offenses are two of the best offenses in football. High octane. I expect not a lot of ticking clock, a lot of balls in the air, and also Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown. And then for Cincinnati, Baltimore, my final best bet for Thanksgiving is Lamar Jackson over 21.5 rushing yards.
Yeah. And my best bets for Thanksgiving Day, we'll get into the rest of the slate in a little bit. I like Green Bay +3. I think they're going to have a lot of success through the air, and I think the Green Bay defense is really going to give Goff and company lots of problems. For Kansas City and Dallas, I'm on a prop here. I couldn't come to a side, but I like Dak Prescott to have 24 completions. I do think that it's going to be a game where they have to come from behind. I think Kansas City is going to be winning most of the time. They've had a lot of success through the air. Their run game has not been as good as it's been earlier in the season. So I think they're going to rely a lot on Dak Prescott and that very talented receiving core. And then for Cincinnati and Baltimore, I took the first half under 26.5. I think even though Joe Burrow is back, I think that with T. Higgins out, they're not going to have enough firepower there to really score at will, especially against this really good Baltimore defense. I think we're going to see a lot of running, and I don't like how Baltimore came out super slow last week versus the Giants. So I think we see a low-scoring first half. That's where I stand on for Thanksgiving Day.
Absolutely. And like Jake pointed out before, we have Black Friday football, 3 p.m. And a reminder, I'll be streaming at 2 p.m. Eastern before this game. We got Bears-Eagles. The Bears and Eagles, both 8-3.
I have a question, Eric, before we get here. Do we want to put together a quick little touchdown parlay for tomorrow really quick?
Absolutely.
At the end? I think since we're hot on the topic, we might as well just whip something up right now.
Let's do it. So my first leg, I have multiple legs that I'm obsessed with here, but let's cook this up quickly. The
I have
first
a
one is
couple too. I wonder if we're on the same page for any of them.
I'm doubling down on my Kareem Hunt. So Kareem Hunt anytime will be in there. Now you toss me. We'll do 2 and 2. Toss me a leg. I'll toss a leg. You toss a leg. We'll
I
find the
like
best.
Golden in the Green Bay Detroit game. I like Golden to score.
Matthew Golden, going with the rookie to score his first tutty, eh?
Going with the rookie. There's no way he's not going to score his first touchdown all season. I think there's no better time than the first game of Thanksgiving Day. Get the rook some love. I also I think it's just his time. I mean, he's been hurt a little bit, right? So I think it's a good time and we get good value there. I'm cool with, obviously, I don't have any touchdown scores I like much in the Kansas City Dallas game, so I'm cool with Kareem Hunt. If anything, I would like probably one of the Dallas receivers.
Yeah, let's just do 2 legs from each. So I'll absolutely just give me one. And what's up, guys? Do you do start and sit advice for fantasy? We will give you some start and sit advice, absolutely, but we're definitely more of like a straight sports betting. But glad to chime in, and there obviously is correlation there. But Jacob, I'll just step right back in here and give my second one, Rashee Rice. So I'm going Chalk City with KC, but I have no qualms about it at all. I've been talking about Rashee Rice for days, and I will definitely be betting more Rashee Rice tomorrow morning. But I'm going with Rashee Rice and Kareem Hunt for my 2 legs, even in the same game.
Okay. Mine is going to be as square as it is. I got to go with Jamar Chase. I think he's only was minus 115 when I looked. Yeah. So it's not like it's crazy juicy. I think that's a decent price. I was like looking at possibly playing that straight, but obviously I like an under in that game. So I wasn't like begging myself to lay some juice on a touchdown score, but I think it's good to add to this parlay. If someone gets in the end zone for Cincinnati, it's going to be one of the Chases, Chase Brown and Jamar Chase. So I think I'll take Joe Burrow's boy in his return.
So plus 3190. We are locked and loaded, Matthew Golden. So we're going to have the biggest sweat from an odds perspective to start off the day. So if Golden scores, we should absolutely be crossing our fingers for the rest of the guys to get into the end zone, because these are the lower odds, chalkier guys supposed to lock in. But Rashee Rice, Kareem Hunt, Matthew Golden, Jamar Chase, book it for our parlay. Quick fantasy question: 12-man PPR start. Okay, we have a big list here. Absolutely not Brock Purdy. Start Mahomes. Jones, I'm guessing Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Tucker, Benson, Chris Rodriguez. Against Denver, no. I would say CMC just has to be played. And I guess Aaron Jones. Olave left practice today with a knee injury, so I'd be concerned about that. Diggs against the Giants. You have to like Diggs against the Giants. Luther Burden, I think, is interesting. We'll talk about that game in a second here. Tight end isn't Waller hurt, I'm pretty sure. Defense definitely Rams. And
yeah, I'd veer away from Godwin because I don't know if Baker's going to play, so that's a big factor. Plus, it's his first week back.
Yeah, so for me, I'm saying Mahomes, CMC, Kenneth Walker because of the matchup. So Mahomes, CMC, Walker, Diggs, Jawan Jennings, no, in the weather. Maybe Terry, he looks good, but Mario, they said like he's had his best week of practice, all that stuff. Where you want to buy into that. And tight end, I guess I would go Otten in defense, Packers. Jake, let's get to this Friday afternoon specialty here. Like I was saying, Birds laying 7 there. Lost to Dallas last week after a big first half. Nothing in the second half. The Bears keep on winning some way, shape, or form. I think we've all seen the stats that the Bears are the worst team in the history of DVOA to be 8-3. Appreciate you, country boy. Anytime, bro. And tap in. I stream all the time. So appreciate you. I think that, like, at first glance to me, if there's a 6.5, which I think it was at for a bit, that it went to 7, then we saw 7.5. Like, looking at the market, I'll see if there's 6.5. Minus 120, Hard Rock only plays, so like not really. It really is a straight 7. Totally get why the Birds are favored here in a big way. With that being said, this is nothing that I'm like running to the window to bet in this one. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I literally have written down I want a 6.5, and I guess I can get it down here in Florida. I have a heavy lean on Philly minus 7 and Philly's team total over 26.5. Part of me thinks that they are going to blow them out, and I don't see Chicago throwing the ball at all. I think bum-ass Caleb Williams, he's going to be miserable trying to throw the ball versus Philly. give Chicago their flowers. They've been able to run the ball pretty well, but this Philly run defense has showed lots of signs of improvement the last few weeks. And this is versus Dallas, versus Detroit, two teams that can run the ball just like Chicago. So they were able to contain them. I think they could do the same in this game. Philly should be able to do what they want on offense, and they need a statement game. They really don't have one yet this season. And both of these teams have the same record, except one of them is favored by a touchdown. So that should just show enough on how they're weighing Chicago as like overall football team and a possible contender this year. So yeah, I think it's going to be a blowout victory. I just would rather get that 6.5. So if
Absolutely.
6.5 goes more towards the 115, 110 range, I'll lock it in. But right now it's just a lean.
It's absolutely same wavelength. You and I, like we've talked a few times on the show about how we're still pro Philly and we're anti Chicago. And again, Jake, there will be a great time similar to like New England, which we talked about, which I guess the week might have been last week from a spread perspective, because even with the Joe Burrow like head fake of playing news, it's still closed. Remember what number you got with Cincinnati, you still covered, but there will be a time where I'm betting a 10-unit nuke max bet whale against Chicago. I don't know if it's this week because I am still a bit on the fence of Philly, just in the sense where, yes, Dallas's defense deserves credit. We already talked about that, but this offense might actually be a bit more broken than it seems. But I'll keep this one on my end, even though I did talk a little bit more short and sweet. Again, I'll be streaming on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, right before this game for an hour, finalizing any EV props for that game, as well as first touchdowns, etc. So, AAC, I'm putting the Bears on fraud alert. I'm not buying the 3-2 record, and I appreciate the challenge always. AAC, we appreciate you big time. And the Bears are fraud alert. They're the definition of fraud alert. Do not buy in the hype. I will say, quickly, just Sunflowers, exactly. Like, I am much more impressed with Ben Johnson as a coach and what he's done for the offense and for some of the I guess I will say, like, in the building, like, morale that they've boosted, and like they actually seem like a competent football team at times, when we're used to seeing the Bears being the worst team in history for many times out there. But we all know that these teams have like one and done years where they have really good seasons. Talk about my commies last year. And I don't think that it's actually going to be moving forward that the Bears are this legitimate team by any means. But Jake, we have a much more, I guess, just as interesting game, but still a sick one. Texans Colts. I had Texans last Thursday. They come through, cover that spread big time. I had Colts. They lose outright, but they cover a spread for me. So both of these teams are in my good graces right now, Jake. We've had a lot of back and forth banter on Indy and Houston, but let's start with Indy here. I've been a believer in how good their offense is, hence why I backed them last week, because they are a team that like is like not just their offense. They also have a really good defense. They have great coaching staffs on both sides of the ball. They're a team that you also expect to ascend with Travarius Ward now finally back and healthy. Of course, Sauce Gardner getting more in tune in the mix there on the defensive side of the ball. But I'm also very pro Houston. Their defense is so damn good. And part of the reason why I was on them against Buffalo is because of the ascension of Jaden Higgins, the ascension of Jalen Noel, Christian Kirk's back in the mix. Nico Collins is a dog. And, CJ Stroud versus Davis Mills. We had this debate many times. It's like really potato, though Stroud will be playing here. I feel like this is – I hate using the word trap game because that does not exist. I feel like, though, I am begging – my brain is saying actually, no, my body and like heart is saying bet the Houston Texans. Like they're actually good. They're going to win. But I feel like my brain is saying, hold on. You were just talking about how good Indy really is. Maybe you're getting a discount now after the loss to the Chiefs. So more of the story is I am torn, but I could definitely see a world – with Houston winning outright and even winning the division if we want to get even crazier down the line.
Yeah, I'll share a really quick story from Sunday. Me and my buddy went to this cigar bar to watch the games, and Kenny Holmes walked in. He was a defensive end back in the day. He got drafted by the Titans. My buddy's a Jets fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. He walked in, and we were like, "Oh, tell us you actually like a good team." He's like, "Oh, no, I'm a Tennessee fan." We're like, "Oh, wow, we all suck." We were like, "Why are you a Tennessee fan?" He's like, "They drafted me." So we got into talking about football, and he said, this Houston defense is one of the better defenses he was a defensive end. One of the better defenses he's ever seen in a long time. Just overall well coached. They're able to stop the run. They're able to stop the pass. They get pressure on the quarterback. They have really good skill guys. This is where Daniel Jones does not thrive, though, Eric. And I'll start by saying I don't have a play in this game. This is my overall understanding is even if Stroud is expected to play, him or Mills, you just said it's potato. I agree with you there. But not much is pointing towards a successful day for Houston on offense, regardless of who's at quarterback. But then again, they might be the healthiest they've ever been. If we do see a CJ Stroud and all these guys healthy, other than Joe Mixon, he's probably never going to return. But we haven't really seen them, their line, their skill guys, their quarterback fully healthy in a long time. I feel like it's been like that all season, and they've just kind of like gotten through the obstacles by like the skin on their teeth. On the Indy side, like good luck to Indiana Jones. That's all I have to say is if the Chiefs, the Falcons, and the Steelers were able to give him issues, I can't even imagine how he's going to act with this Houston defense. And the thing is, it's not like he had a bad game, had 2 good bounce back games, and then had another bad game. It's been consistent now for about a month where we've been seeing flashes of like, is Daniel Jones, we've said this 2 weeks in a row now, or 3, I think they were on a bye one of the weeks that I just mentioned, but like we've been talking about, is this really the new Daniel Jones, or is he going to come stumbling down? And we talked about their schedule early on. Now we're kind of seeing what's going on when he sees some decent defenses. Now he's going to see Houston. If I take a play here, Eric, I'm going to have to trust your heart and your body. I would take Houston on the money line at plus 185, keep the points. That's where I stand. No play here, but if I have a good day tomorrow, I'll throw a half a unit on Houston on the money line at plus 185. Are you kidding me?
I'm with you. And I think that Houston is like, this is going to be a bit crazy. I think Houston could even be live to win the AFC. That's how good their defense is. However, the one thing that holds me back is because DeMeco Ryans is their head coach, also a defensive-minded coach, runs the defense. He is not a good head coach, and their offensive coordinators are also not good. So, like, the fact that their defense is just so damn good is a credit to Ryans, but do I trust DeMeco Ryans in like a situation that's like really like coming down to the wire, though? This Texans team beat that Colts team 2 years ago in the week 18 matchup, if you remember, Jake, to like lock in the Ryans the lock in the playoff spot. Yep. But I agree. I think at this point that while part of me is like, well, this is probably a discount on the Colts, the other part of me is like, nah, the Texans are actually good. And I think that maybe people are still sleeping on how good they are, though. Like I mentioned, the defense for the Colts still should be ascending, which is scary because both of these teams in a weak AFC are real. How real? Because obviously we've seen the Ravens without Lamar for a lot of time. The Chiefs have had their issues. The Bills have their issues. What really is real in the AFC, which is a dumb thing to say, but kind of true. But I do think that both these teams are real, and the question is going to come down to, like you said there, Jake, how Jones responds to this pass rush. And if we know anything about Indiana Jones, the answer will probably be horrifically, because it wasn't just in New York. Now that the pass rush has gone to him the last couple of weeks, we've seen it also in Indy. So the change of scenery has been great, but it hasn't, fixed his fatal flaws.
Correct. Yep. I agree.
But now we're going from 2 of the best teams in the AFC South to, one technically who's better than the Texans from a record perspective, though. Houston's definitely better than Jacksonville. Thought they're 1-1 in the season. Going to Tennessee to play the Titans here. I don't have a bet in this game yet either, but I will say right now, if I'm a Survivor player, I'm still alive, I am not putting my entry on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week if I have them, honestly. Tennessee, I think, might be live here, Jake. At 7, I would definitely bet the Titans. I'm not overreacting to them covering against Seattle because Seattle literally, I don't want to say they gave up, but like foot was off the gas pedal if you really think about it. And I'll talk about them again later when we talk about that matchup. They're coming against a rookie making his first start. But do you have any stronger thoughts on Jacksonville, Tennessee? Because this to me has Trevor Lawrence throwing 3 more terrible interceptions written all over it, and the Titans somehow finding a way against a pretty bad Jaguars pass defense. We debated this last week, Jake. You had the under, I had the over in that Arizona game. I think if Cam Ward has his best game of the season, I think this AFC South nonsense is the time, and this might actually happen. I kind of like Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm on the total opposite side here. I handicapped the Saints, the Dolphins first. So my first note here is this is similar to Miami breakdown, basically where I think Miami has a great matchup versus New Orleans on the defensive side or on the offensive side. And I think the same thing here with Jacksonville versus Tennessee. If there's a defense that can make Trevor actually look good right now, it's got to be the Titans, though. So I agree. He has not been good. As a team, I think Jacksonville's looked good, but not Trevor. 3 interceptions last week, 153 yards and 1 interception versus the Chargers.
And 3 of the worst interceptions you'll ever see.
They're bad. They're bad. But then you even look at the Chargers when you're like, oh, Jacksonville smoked them. Like, it wasn't Trevor Lawrence that smoked them. It really wasn't. With that being said, it's the Titans. So, like, let's take a step back and realize that we're getting Jacksonville at under a touchdown, which is a best bet of mine. I took Jacksonville -6. I got them at -115. This is Trevor's game to shine, in my opinion. I think the run game will also be there. It's been there all season. And the Jags defense is a top 10 defense, and I don't really care what anyone else has to say. Now, is there a matter of maybe some defenses aren't as good as we thought, their schedule, whatever it might be? They do have a good decent defense, especially versus Tennessee. Like, they're just going to continue to struggle here on offense. So getting Jacksonville under a touchdown, locked it in immediately. And this had nothing to do with my bet, but I do have a future on Jacksonville over 7.5 wins, which could cash here. Great spot. They win this game versus a bad Tennessee Titans defense. We'll cash that. And I do have Jacksonville to win the AFC South at +310. Now, if Indy collapses like they've been, Jacksonville wins this game. Say Houston does beat Indy, they're a game back from the division, which is also super hot take, but it's a ticket I've had locked in for a few months now. So obviously I'm going to root for it. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because this game could be huge for my futures as well.
Well, the games against Indy will be bigger, realistically.
Oh, especially if they win
not played Indy yet. They have not played Indy yet this season. Yeah. They have 2 more games against Indy, 1 more against Tennessee. They played Houston both times. They split that season series there with that Davis Mills comeback, which cashed us an epic parlay for everybody who was on stream that day, as well as the straight bet on Houston. But Jake, we're head to head here. I'm I haven't put my money where my mouth is, so definitely.
I can't see how anyone could rely on Cam Ward having his best game of the season. You know, like we thought it was going to happen weeks ago.
That's why it's outlier season here. That's why if I'm betting that game, I'm clicking the 270 money line and not the +6.5. I'm going balls to the wall here. If I do,
you end up see my future hit, do you?
You have plenty of time. You have after this one, that's 14. You have 5 more weeks to sneak out a W. If Trevor Lawrence can't do that for you, don't blame me. Blame Trevor Lawrence. All right.
Oh, he will be getting a letter in the mail from me if Trevor can't squeak off one single win. Be like, you're lucky you got 7 of them, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm a little salty because I did end up betting the Cardinals money line on Sunday. I actually had them alternate line -1, and a game that they absolutely could have won. Flew over the total, lose that in OT, even after Trevor Lawrence again threw 3 of the worst interceptions you'll see. Ended up being a now all in the game, but interesting nonetheless. AFC South, disgusting. If you watch this game, solely watching this game, even if you are a Titans or Jags fan, I don't know what you're doing with your life there. This is
they're not even watching this game. Let's be real,
as they shouldn't be. But an absolutely loaded slate, Jake. But your Miami Dolphins are back on the saddle in New Orleans. I'm mad at myself, Jake, because
no. In Miami, we will have boots on ground, Eric. We will have boots on ground.
I'm sure you'll be in attendance, Jake. But what I'll say is I'm mad at myself because you were on stream here with me where I said I think how the hell are the Falcons dogs? Kirk Cousins is definitely not an upgrade or a downgrade from Penix. And I don't get it. And I should have bet it, but I was thinking, but like the market, whatever. Yes, I respect the market and always will respect the market, but sometimes you got to put the balls to the wall. And the Falcons end up beating them down. And now Miami's 5.5-point favorites at home, coming off their bye. Talk to me, Jake. I know you mentioned you had to play and you handicap this one. You dove into this one deeper. What are your thoughts on Dolphins Saints?
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans. So I reversed my research when I was just talking about the Jags game. So same thing I have right here. If there's an offense in the league that I think the Miami Dolphins defense might have the upper hand against, it would be the Saints. Mm-hmm. I think Tyler Shuck does have potential, but if they're dropping him back 40 times a game like they just did last week, he will make rookie mistakes. Like it's just a fact. And the Miami defense hasn't looked half bad the last month or so. If you look, they gave up 16 versus Washington, which I get it, it's Washington, 13 versus Buffalo, the 28 versus Baltimore, and then 10 versus Atlanta. you look at those teams, and you're like, oh, but it's Washington and it's, the Buffalo one is good, but it's Atlanta. But we're talking about New Orleans here. We're not talking about any world beater type of team. So I think it's a good matchup for the Miami defense, especially at home. Same thing on offense. I think New Orleans' strength has been against the run this year, but Miami has been running the ball all over the place since the Chargers game. So I think they're going to be able to run the ball, and that's what's really been holding the water together for New Orleans all season. And Miami hasn't been as good through the air, but this is where New Orleans is terrible. They can't stop the pass for their life, and we know that Tua and Waddle and this Miami offense, they do have weapons that can expose that. So I do have a best bet here. I took Miami -5.5 at -110 on Hard Rock. I've realized Hard Rock tends to have the better lines with the Florida teams, which is nice for me. I think this is an overall great matchup for Miami on both sides of the ball with their defense, who's been playing pretty well. They've been playing pretty well last month, like I just said. They're seeing a rookie quarterback that's not going to have a run game to support him. And then their offense is seeing a New Orleans defense that they should have no problem scoring against. So a 2 field goal game, a touchdown game. I like Miami with the points. And boots will be on ground. I will be there in the stadium. I already know I bring a different energy every single time I go. We're 2-0 since I've been there. I've never lost a game, knock on wood. But yeah, that's another factor is I'll be there. So
I love that. So I actually honestly wholeheartedly agree with you. I thought it was kind of crazy. And again, I didn't bet my hunch last week. So what are you going to do? People were talking about how the Saints could finally bounce back. They have one of the easiest strength of schedules in football. The Saints could probably put together a little bit of a run. We're talking about the damn New Orleans Saints. We're talking about a team that had a preseason win total of 4.5. You know what I mean?
For first pick. That's where they're running.
Exactly. And that's what they want. That's what they need. And are they, is Shook going to be good? TBD. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm breaking down the film. And no, also, like I mentioned, Olave left practice today with a back injury. That's absolutely worth noting because without Olave, that offense is obviously going to have a ton of issues. Of Kamara obviously banged up. So Devin Neal looks like he could be a ball player. And I only mentioned that because I have him in my dynasty team. So I hope he ends up becoming a little bit of something. So I get some juice from a rookie down the line here. But long story short, I agree with you. I think that the fact that the Saints were kind of getting some love just because they beat the freaking Panthers is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think that this line actually though prices them into being how bad. I genuinely think that they still are. This is a team that again might scratch 3 wins and that's it this year. And I think a lot of people will think oh, Miami's been so bad. One of them would be against Miami, but Miami's been cooking lately. Obviously shut up by Baltimore, shut down, but beating Buffalo, beating Washington in one of the ugliest games, overseas.
Dude, let's not talk about that game ever again.
These guys had too much fun hanging out in Madrid, but no bet for me just yet here. Of course, I stream every Sunday morning. By then, I'm locked in. We have 3 more streams coming this week, boys. So I'll be giving out some great stuff. But right now, I'm laying off this one here. But we're actually loading up a game where I have fired on already, Jake. Browns, Niners. So I am going to preface this by saying none of the prices I bet are available. I don't talk about this to toot my own horn and say, oh, I'm getting all these great prices. I want you guys to be able to tell what I'm betting. But one of my colleagues, Cleve TA, as in his name is Cleve, alerted me and the group chat we're in immediately, weather in Cleveland going to be abysmal. I'm slow to the punch and I still got a bad number, but compared to market now, I got a great number. I have under 39.5 in this game because the snow and rain and wind are supposed to be all in full force. 25+ mile an hour winds are expected. And on the lake in Cleveland, that's where the wind really picks up. Hence why they're eventually going to build a dome. At 36.5, I can't really comment on. I'm sorry to be annoying to the listeners. I want to give you bets that you can tell right this second, but I want to also be transparent of what I'm sweating. I have under 39.5 from a total. I also bet 2 Brock Purdy fades. And this is why if you're listening for fantasy advice also, or if you're, seeing some of Purdy's numbers and haven't been tapped in with the weather and are thinking why the hell is this number so low, et cetera. It's because it's expected to be the first real bad Cleveland type, Buffalo type weather game. And I have a full Brock Purdy fade. I have under 30.5 passing attempts. And the last time he played in Cleveland in a pretty big, and not even a horrible weather game, he only had 27 attempts. Right now, the best number for an under is 28.5 minus 105. I actually still do like that for attempts, and I also bet under completions at 20.5 right now. And as we're seeing, the best is 18.5. Plus 105 at MGM is actually pretty good, so I would still recommend this. But because in that game, we went 11 for 27. It was a horrible game. But just giving out what I have so far, we could talk about the real game now, though, Jake, because I still have more thoughts, but I want to pass to you. Browns, Niners, weather. I bet the unders. I got in early. Maybe I could buy back to get some middles going, but just for transparency, putting out there what I bet so far.
Yeah, I mean, I locked nothing in yet, but dude, I think Cleveland is live here, and here's why. Okay, cool. Because I know we weren't really praising Shedeur last week. I was rooting for him, but I was like, I don't know really what to expect.
He's horrible, though. Can we say that?
Listen, he's a young what rookie quarterback has been really great other than CJ Stroud. Let's be real. It's taken everyone until their rookie or their sophomore.
Ever heard of Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, yes, okay, Jaden Daniels, but other than him,
obviously, I know that he's the anomaly in Stroud.
Look at Drake May.
I'm saying that in jest.
Drake May was terrible, and I'm not comparing. I'm not saying Shedeur is going to be one of the best quarterbacks next year. I'm just saying, second game in, I mean, Jackson Dart's nothing special. Bo Nix still is nothing special. Drake May, it took him a year to get to where he is. So second game, but hear me out. If there's going to be this bad weather, right, that works in Cleveland's favor heavily. San Fran won't be able to throw the ball, and they've been one of the worst run offenses in the league all season, and they're going to see one of the best run defenses in the league. Like, where are they going to score, first of all? So, like, I like the 5.5 more than the money line, obviously, but another situation where I'm not going to take the 5.5 without taking the money line. If I take the 5.5, I'll probably put 3/4 of a unit on it and then sprinkle on the money line as well after that. And then even if the weather is somewhat decent, like we all saw what Purdy just did versus a Carolina defense on Monday, he threw the ball to the wrong team half the time. So, like, how much trust do they even have with this pass rush and this good Cleveland defense coming at him? Now, Cleveland's pass defense hasn't been nearly as good as the run defense, but again, I don't see him slinging the rock in 25-mile-per-hour winds. Shedeur has played in these environments. He went to Colorado, and he's kind of used to this weather. Versus San Francisco, like, they're not built for this weather. They're in a cupcake NFC West division, and I say cupcake as in weather-wise. Like, yeah, they have Seattle that they play there one time, but then what? Arizona, they play in San Francisco, they play in LA. Like, they're not cut for 25-mile-an-hour winds and freaking snow.
Purdy's noodle arm was definitely not cut for 25-mile-per-hour.
Yeah, so, like, get me out of here with I'm not laying anything with them. It would be Cleveland all the way for me, like, as in I'll take the points and the money line or nothing. But that's where I stand. I think you got a great number at the under, honestly. Like, I'm personally not going to touch it just in case there is – I still think the under is the best look if we're going to go on an over or an under, but – yeah, I mean, 39.5. That's a great number you got there, Eric.
Appreciate that. And I have to comment on this. So I got too excited last week, right? I wanted to fade Shedeur because I think he's still abysmal, honestly. And the going 11 for 20 with the one touchdown being a Dylan Sampson breaking all the tackles in the world. My general hypothesis of him being bad was accurate.
It was a swing pass.
They took the man off the field in the red zone. And they did direct snaps to Quinshon Judkins. If that doesn't tell you kind of everything you need to know. That aside, I was overlooking obviously how bad Las Vegas is and the fact that they don't need the quarterback to win that game because Myles Garrett and Malik Collins up front were able to win the game essentially themselves. I had Shedeur INT in a lay that ended up hitting as well because I called that from the rooftops.
Minus 200.
Yeah, it was in a lay that ended up hitting. So. At minus 200 was just crazy, and I'm curious if it's out right now for what it is because I am curious. For this week, it is minus 165. I'm absolutely adding that to a parlay again this week. Long story short, though, because I do agree with you that the weather backs Cleveland, so I'm not going to have another grand Shedeur fade this week because you laid all the points. Purdy noodle arm, bad weather, not a bad weather team. The Browns pass rush against this offensive line should be great. The Niners also still have one of the worst pass defenses in general in the NFL. So, like, if there is a game for Shedeur to, like, maybe do something all right, it would be this game. With that being said, obviously the spread is only what the spread is at 4.5 now because of the weather. But if there was no weather, This would be a max bet on San Francisco, but there is weather, so moot point. I'm excited about my next opportunity to really fade Shedeur Sanders. That's kind of all I have to say.
If there was no weather, I mean, it would be 7.5, 8-point spread, hands down.
Yeah, I would think around 7. I agree with around 7 because of how bad they looked even in the win against Carolina with Purdy. And the Browns defense at home, like we've talked about this a few times, like it's not like it is an anomaly. Like the way that they play so well at home, like I don't know how they do it. But this is like a matchup where, like I was saying with the Jaguars, if I'm a Survivor player, I'm still alive in week 13. My 2 avoids of this week of like relatively big favorites are Jacksonville and San Francisco. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd co-sign that.
So, Jake, we have another one here. Buccaneers, Cardinals. Teddy Two Gloves expected to probably make the start here with Baker getting banged up pretty badly. Cardinals coming off the L in OT in a game that flew over the total. They probably could have, should have won, but should have, could have, would have. Ends up with another L in their ledger, another one-score game. L again for Arizona, who's been on the short end of that stick all season long as well. But the media just wants to tell you about Mahomes. Jokes aside, they're obviously not a great football team.
You are the media.
I am the media. I am the media. Teddy looked so damn bad, and like yes, now as a week of practice, yes, the Cardinals defense is not the Rams defense. That being said, though, I still could see Brissett getting some love here. We're under a 2.5 now, 43.5 total. Any strong thoughts on the backup QB bowl in Tampa this week?
No strong thoughts at all. I'll also add that I had the under in that game, in the Arizona game last week, and like, you know, that 2-yard interception return, all that bulk. It was my best bet of the entire week. Really screwed me. I do think Bucky Irving is playing though. I'll add that. So yeah. I basically stayed away because of those 2 key pieces, Baker and Bucky. Looks like Baker's not going to play and Bucky is. Now Baker is still questionable, but I don't know how much they push it. They do need to win these types of games though. So I don't think Arizona's any pushover. You know, like
no, absolutely not.
If Baker could play, I think he's going to play. But there's also other things on the Arizona side. Trey Benson popped up on the injury report. He's questionable. Marvin Harrison is still questionable too. So just a bloodbath of an injury report, and I stayed away just because of a lot of those reasons. Even if Bucky does play, it's not like they've been able to run the ball super efficiently when he was healthy. So Baker Mayfield is the big decider here. And if Baker does happen to play, I'd play this probably up to 3.5 on the Tampa Bay side, but I'm not like running to the window to lock this in by any means.
I think Baker, this is 100% speculation. So like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like this is just what I would say. I would think there's 0 chance Baker plays, even though this is a must-win game, just because like the re-injury risk in this game, like yes, they would love to win to maintain their status atop the NFC South and not let the competition get too close to them. But I think you have to be thinking a bit of a long game with Tampa Bay in the sense of the rest of the season here. So I'm obviously not Todd Bowles or an athletic staffer or have any inside information, but if it were up to me, which it obviously is not, I'm having Baker saying, I love your competitive spirit, dog, but I think you should sit your ass down for this one. It's tough. And they're still favorites. I mean, I'm curious if this is a line that's like a tweener. Jake, we talk about all the time where like when a quarterback's questionable, like this is sitting as if it's questionable. Like because 2.5 favorites, even with Bridgewater, seems like a lot of points, man, even though we're obviously talking about 2.5 points. But that to me, I don't know, man. Maybe I've been off on Arizona all year. So like maybe like I'm still dealing with biases and like priors, etc., which is week 13, so I should get over that shit. But I don't know, man. I think it's
not over until the end of the season. That's just how the shit goes. No, I'm with you 100%. I think Baker's playing tough guy, saying, no, I'll be good to go. It's a must win. I'm good to go. But realistically, it's not his decision.
And it shouldn't be a player's decision ever.
No, it's never a play. They don't run the business. They are just a piece of the puzzle. Arizona, though, they're so bad. Like, they're just, I don't know. It's just a stay away from me, honestly. But I do agree. Like, if Baker, this is too many points if Baker doesn't play for Tampa. I think the wrong team is favored. But clearly, this is showing that that's up in the air. It's definitely a tweener line.
I think you're right. I think you're right. And I'm curious to see where it goes. Even if Baker started, I think I would absolutely bet on the Cardinals and just get a better price, honestly. So this is like damned if I do, damned if I don't, because I'm going to pull up RBDSM real quickly. If we look at quarterbacks after the start of the season, we know Baker was like an MVP candidate from weeks 1 through like 7, realistically. If we filter this from weeks like 8 to 18, where the Bucs, we've seen the things come, like the wheels fall off the bus a little bit here. Website's being slow. But if you go to quarterbacks in EPA and CPOE composite, so completion percentages above expectation, we'll have to lower these minimum plays here. I'll get it situated. But long story short, one of the guys you're about to see on the bottom of this list, Jake, is Baker Mayfield, even after his amazing start to the season from the second half on to the last couple of weeks. And as this loading will do weeks.
And another thing in his defense is look at JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, disgusting.
That's fucking funny. Like, look at the injuries to specifically the players that affect him. Bucky Irving, Godwin, Evans, Egbuka was out. Like
35. He's hanging out with Dylan Gabriel and JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad.
Yep.
That's bad. But what, he's throwing to what? Tez Johnson?
He was throwing to Tez Johnson in week 3.
Yeah, I
Tez
know.
Johnson's a dog. Shout out to Tez Johnson. He's an animal.
I do like Tez Johnson, but still, it's easier for him to throw to Tez Johnson when Tez Johnson's wide receiver 3 or 4, and he's going up against a middle linebacker every play versus having safety help and more eyes on. Now, Egbuka is taking a lot of that off as well, but like
since coming back from injury, Egbuka's been pedestrian at best.
I agree. Why do you think that is?
I think it's we talked about this a little bit last week.
No, Mike Evans.
The offensive line has been hurt all year long, and they somehow got over that stretch. But like now, it's all coming back to earth. I'm not here putting out anti-Baker propaganda. All I'm saying is, objectively, when you break down the numbers over the last 4 weeks of the season, Baker Mayfield is as bad as JJ McCarthy and Dylan Gabriel in EPA per play and CPOA composite combined. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying there's factors to it. Like,
absolutely, everything needs context. Don't get me wrong.
Losing Bucky Irving was huge. Losing Mike Evans is huge. Look, now Mike Evans is gone. Egbuka's not having as good of a last couple of games because they only have to focus on like him. You know what I mean? There's a lot of factors.
Or they just peaked too early.
Yeah, one of the two, or both combined. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm definitely not denying it, but there are always situations like this where teams get off hot and then injuries come in, or they actually start playing a meteor part of their schedule and they come back down to earth. So I totally agree. And listen, I wouldn't talk you off the ledge if you want an Arizona money line ticket. Like, go for it. I think especially if Baker doesn't play, Arizona is so live here.
Absolutely. So no, very healthy discussion. To me, the biggest concern is the completion percentage over expected, aka meaning he's missing. He's like missing throws, which we've seen. We literally watched him the last couple of games miss throws, and now he's banged up. So no bueno. But Jake, let's keep ripping here because we got a couple more games for the 4 o'clocks, and of course we got 2 prime times to go. Rams Panthers. I mean, Rams laying 10.5 off after a domination of the Buccaneers. Panthers 3. They win the turnover margin by a big time there. Obviously, Bryce Young throws some terrible interceptions, and Panthers can't jump on a fumble that they force on McCaffrey. They end up scoring just 9 points and losing on Monday night. So a short week, though. They are now flying back to Carolina also, which is that true? We're in Carolina here? Yeah, it's at 1 o'clock, so that makes sense. Jake, 10.5 points seem a bit light just from my first kind of look at it, because this Rams team, as somebody who touts the Chiefs as still the best team in football despite the records here, I think at this point it's foolish to not say that the Los Angeles Rams are not the best team in the NFC. And if you said they're the best team in football, I'm not debating that statement.
Yeah, I mean, they probably are. I have absolutely nothing for this game. I think it is. I don't think it's crazy that the Panthers are 10.5 point dogs at home, but I think it goes to show how good the Rams are and maybe how fraudulent Carolina is. I'm also I'm pissed at the Panthers because I had a 2-unit play on the over in that game. I've had 3 2-unit plays all football season, and that's including college football, Eric. 3. This was one of them. I had the over of, 49, I think I had.
Yeah, it was high.
When they were just throwing interception, Bryce Young is throwing an interception. It's 1st and goal from the 2, and we're throwing an interception in the end zone. I wanted to rip my eyeballs out. I could run. He could have just walked into the end zone. I could have scored that touchdown, honestly. It was just the interception. Yeah, you were talking about the turnover margin. I'm like, all right, San Fran goes down, scores immediately. And then Bryce, the Panthers are driving. They throw an interception. I'm like, all right, whatever. San Fran go down and score again. They're driving, throw an interception. And then the Panthers drive down to the 3-yard line, throw an interception. I'm like, are you kidding me? At least give me a field goal or some sort of point. So they're kind of on my shit list. And, I mean, I don't like the number. I would go Rams if I had a gun to my head on the points. But, yeah, nothing. This was my no comment game of the week. I just literally had nothing for it.
Panthers are frustrating because they obviously play well sometimes, but this is a team, Jake, that, and it happens in football all the time. This like Fugazi season, because they're still firmly in this playoff mix.
I know.
Because of the NFC South, obviously a team in each division taking home a playoff spot there. They're firmly in the mix, but like this is a team that like truly is so bad, and like they deserve credit for being good when they're bad, as counterintuitive as that sounds. But this is a team that would like benefit so much from a top 7 pick in the first round and of course in the second round, whereas now like they're pricing themselves into like, you know, a worse pick that like they really could use like the reinforcements, because from a roster perspective this is a bad roster, and the Rams deserve all the credit in the world. I mean, they're absolutely lighting it up, but we could keep moving on here. Nothing more to really dive into there. We got a bunch of games still left here. Falcons Jets, Jake. This one is very interesting to me. We saw some Atlanta money come in earlier today, which I think is definitely warranted. We saw Kirk Cousins beat up on the Saints, hit that deep ball, Darnell Mooney, that dagger in the coffin there. Jets offense, they're coming off that loss to Baltimore, but they hung around for a bit in that game before they absolutely, expect it to happen. Though exactly what you expect it to happen, though they did cover a spread depending what number you got there. Jake, I'm so mad at myself for not betting the Saints, and I don't want that to be a reason why not betting the Falcons last week. I don't want it to be a reason why I just bet them this week and like try to make up for it or anything like that. But I understand why the Falcons went from, minus 125 to like minus now 136 favorites, 145 at some softer books here. Because I think this Falcons team, Bijan Robinson, despite whatever reason they don't love to give him the football, because like I've said before, if I'm a GM, if I have Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, they're getting the football every single play.
Look what Shanahan does with McCaffrey. Every play.
It's awesome.
He touched the ball 8 times in that first drive last week, McCaffrey?
Yeah. I think it was 10.
10. And what did they do? They went down and they scored a touchdown. Like, why not, dude?
Do you have any stronger thoughts here? Because I haven't finalized my opinions, but like right now I'm like Atlanta 2.5. The thing that like, and this is why like I love and hate the NFL, because like I think everything that you think about points to the Falcons winning the game. But I think like if there's ever a Jets game to win, similar to that Browns game, like this is like a game the Jets win stupidly.
It's very similar to that. Now, maybe I could keep you on the ledge, because I mean, I think even the line right now is too short with Atlanta. I didn't lock anything in. Honestly, I lean mostly towards the under of 39.5. Reasons why: we have tons of injuries on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible weather. It's supposed to rain all day in New Jersey. Backup quarterbacks, if you even consider whatever Tyrod Taylor is, and just overall bad teams. Like, where are they getting to 40 points? I have no clue, but I'm also not opposed to Atlanta. I still think it's too short. I think it's a little trappy on the Jets side, to be honest with you. Like, Jets are at home, plus money. I like Atlanta more than I like the Jets a lot, honestly. But it would be under nothing for me. Just bad teams, bad weather, everything that I just listed. Like, where are they scoring 40 points? Maybe like a 13-6 game.
Yeah, and obviously no Drake London, doubtful for the Falcons here. And also Divine Diablo, the linebacker for the Falcons, he's back, and he's been by far their best run defender. So if he can, get Breece Hall like saddled up and keep him contained, which a lot of teams have, it's been like hit and miss with Hall. He's either turning the hell up because they throw him the ball, or he's not turning up because they don't throw him the ball. Last week, I think he had a great week, if I'm not mistaken. But all things considered here, I agree with you. The under is probably the best look here. And yeah, Brees had a day, it looks like.
I had his over 81 Russian receiving yards. He smacked it like 130 or something.
So Brees was a dog. But again, Diablo is back, and he is the Falcons' best rusher or best linebacker, excuse me. So definitely worth noting there for any like Brees Hall backers and just thoughts right there, Jake. But let's head on to the 4 p.m. slate. Vikings Seahawks. Here's Jim McCarthy, second soft benching of the season. He might break the record for most soft benchings in NFL history. And I think people hate that term. I freaking love that term. I think it's the funniest thing ever because it's true. When things are like funny because they're like so outrageously not true, but then other things are so funny because they're dead on and they're just like avoiding it. Do you not agree, though? The soft benching is the truest thing ever with Jim McCarthy.
Oh, it was the first thing that I said. I said, oh, he had concussion symptoms on the way home after the game. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. That is a joke of an excuse. Justin Jefferson walked up to the fucking management and was like, yo, what are we doing here? You could put anybody in except for this guy. Do you have anything else to say on that? Because I have a play in this game.
The only thing I will say, and I'll let you take it over, is Seattle minus 11.5. We're talking about 11.5 points. Might be a massive discount. What do you think?
I'm so there with you on the first half though, and Minnesota is starting Max Brosmer, I believe, right?
Yeah.
An undrafted quarterback, and may Lord have mercy on this poor bastard getting his first start versus the Seattle defense in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I know we were who was there? Was it Jackson Dart we were talking about against the Chargers? Who were we talking about? We were like,
it was Dart against the Chargers because everyone's like, how are you going to storm against a Jesse Minter defense? It's like, bro.
And listen,
NFL
this is even worse case scenario because it's not even like this is like their future franchise quarterback. This dude is just getting sent into the fire. He's getting thrown to the wolves, however you want to phrase it. Last week, I actually leaned towards Seattle team total over 26.5 on the show, and I did not pull the trigger on it, and it cashed with flying colors. And I would lean their team total over again. I actually like their team total a lot, but I love Seattle first half minus 6.5 at minus 115 on Bet365. I got that a couple hours ago. So yeah, my best bet is Seattle first half minus 6.5. I just don't see Brosmer getting much going on in his first half of pro football versus arguably the best defense in the entire league. And I don't think he'll have much run support either. Seattle has come out firing all season. They're 8-3 against the first half spread all season, and they're 4-1 against the first half spread at home. The number is juiced to minus 120 on a lot of other books. It might be all you can get right now. I can't see the graphic, but this is going to go to 7. I mean, I still like it at 7. It's a 1.5 unit play for me right now. Obviously, if I like 6.5, I still like 7. If they win by 7, a push is a push. It's not a loss. But I'm all over Seattle, especially in the first half. I think the full game line is still short too. I'm with you. They win by 2 touchdowns or more. I don't know if this is like your alternate line of the week or whatever you want it, whatever you're calling it, because you've been pretty decent at those. But I'm with you, dude. I see zero path for Minnesota scoring more than a field goal.
So not going an alternate line of the week because we're already at 11.5. So I'm gonna refrain. But I think that, like I said, 11.5 might be a discount. The one thing that the Rams Seahawks game taught me is how damn good the Seahawks defense is, even in a loss. And like that's not like it's new information. We see what they've done all year long, how good this defense has been, shutting down absolutely everybody they play and just like destroying them. And I think that again, everyone's gonna look at. I say everybody, I mean like your recreational bettor. Obviously, the sharp bettors aren't looking at things this way, but your classic rec is going to look at this and be like, bro, the Titans covered last week. The Titans covered again, like in garbage time. They had another kick return touchdown as well. Titans, best special teams team in the league, so we got to give them credit somewhere.
Yeah, they're down like 26 within the fourth quarter, though.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. That's my point is that Seattle said, I don't care what happens in this game. We have a W. We move on to the next week with another one under our belt. And while J.J. McCarthy is quite literally the worst quarterback in the National Football League, him and Dylan Gabriel, who's now on the bench, and I'll pull up this chart again because this is weeks 8 through 12. We can go back and look at this chart. Like, go back to the whole year. JJ McCarthy is abysmal. Nobody's debating that. 2-time soft bench JJ McCarthy. But all that to say is, even if Brosmer isn't upgraded, I don't think it matters because this offensive line has had issues. If Brosmer's getting the ball out quick, I don't think it matters still because the Seahawks are a sound tackling team. The only devil's advocate I'll play with myself is obviously Darnold was in Minnesota last year, and I'm not saying revenge narrative. I'm saying kind of the opposite, where it's like, if anybody knows Darnold best, it's got to be Kevin O'Connell and defensive coordinator Brian Flores. So, like, is it possible? And again, even Jake, you remember last week I said the Titans might cover because of special teams and some like turnovers last minute stuff.
Word for word.
I think it could be similar if they put him in a blender, which is possible because like they know what's good with him, and like we know Darnold is not blender proof in 2026. Look what the Rams did to him in 2020. Like this year, the Rams put him in the blender, the only team to really do so. But long story short, this is probably too short. And the devil's advocate is if like this coaching staff just knows him inside and out because of a full year of him being on their team, coaching him, playing defense against him, etc. That could be the only concern. But shout out to Jackson Smith-Njigba and shout out to the Seattle Seahawks because they're impressive as hell.
Is JSN breaking the record? I think he is.
I think
he has an extra game.
I think he is. I think he is. He still needs, I think, like 100 yards a game though, at least to win it though.
I think he might be touching 2K.
Yes, but he might need, I think, like 110 yards a game still, which is still like a ridiculous number. Don't get me wrong. Like, never would wish like injury on something. Because I'm only saying this hopefully to protect some guys in the audience here. Because you know for a fact that the market's not up already, that FanDuel is going to put up a market, will he beat it? And like, obviously, most people are going to want to bet yes, but the odds are that was going to be on no because of like one misstep and one like injury, which you never root for. It just is football. Like, could be a decider there. And he's getting a ridiculous amount of target share. But we can move on here. We're both in agreement that Seattle should absolutely dominate. Not really going out on a hot take here against the guy in his first start. But if you are weary, the weary reason would be because of the matchup against his old coaching staff that should know him better than, honestly, even Mike McDonald and Clint Kubiak know him, as he spent a whole year there versus just the 13 weeks so far. But Jake, Chargers, Raiders, 9.5-point spread. I'm just going to go out and say this. I said my avoid list for Survivor, if you're still alive, would be the Jaguars and the Niners. But your safest bet, if you still have Seattle's obviously safe. But if you still have the Chargers, don't think twice. Chargers this week in Survivor.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not heavily on either side. I do. A part of me is saying to take the Raiders at +10 because this just smells like one of those games. The Raiders cover a big spread. It's a divisional game. It's a look ahead spot for the Chargers too. They have Philly and then Kansas City on deck. I do have a best bet here though. I took Genty to score at +165 on FanDuel. He scored in 3 of his last 4 games, and 3 of those 4 games where he scored were against Cleveland, Denver, and Jacksonville. 3 good defenses. I think he can get in the zone again at +165. I think those are great odds. Brock Bowers is also +220 on Hard Rock. So I was like between both of those two on who I should take. It came down to the fact that the Chargers have a really good pass defense, arguably the best in the league. So kind of faded away from Brock Bowers. I might throw him in a touchdown parlay or something on Sunday, but I did lock in Ashton Genty to score a touchdown. If I had to choose, I'm taking Vegas with the points, and I don't think that they win this game. So your Survivor synopsis is accurate in my eyes.
So like Vegas, I'm not to overreact to like their entire season here, but like I'm curious how you think the Raiders cover this game.
They've covered tons of big spreads in the past. I went down the entire rabbit hole against Kansas City of all the games that they won against Kansas City when they were double-digit favorites or more. I mean, it's not a play for me, Eric. I'm just saying, if I had to pick, I'm taking Vegas at +10. this is typically how these divisional games go, though. Like, it's not like they're playing the Tennessee Titans or some random ass team that they're going to smoke. Like, they know each other decently well. They see each other 2 times a year, and you're getting 10.5 points. So if I had to choose, I'm taking Vegas with the points, but I like Genty to get into the end zone.
Got you. That's the real play here. I haven't bet it, so I'm not gonna like sit here and like chirp like I have action on it. But I think that despite the Chargers having some of their ups and downs this season, the Las Vegas Raiders are as unserious a football team as unserious gets at this point in the season. And we're going to be on the clock for when they finally bench Geno Smith. And we'll see some Kenny Pickett, Mr. Small Hands taking over some snaps there. But I think the Chargers should win handily. I do agree, though, every time there's a divisional game, you do got to take like a step back in a sense where like the teams know each other. But all in all, I think the Chargers are going to smooth sail in that one. But Jake, we got 3 more games. Steelers, Bills, Pittsburgh plus 3.5. And this is interesting to me because the market has moved that way. This was 4 earlier in the week. Now it's at 3.5. Aaron Rodgers, I'm expecting him to play. The issue for the Bills is the CVS receipt of injuries. They had a horrible, horrible injury week last week that just mounted up against Houston. Not only is it bad that they lost, the players that they lost is also unfortunately terrible for them as well. Spencer Brown, doubtful. Deion Dawkins concussed. I mean, I'm scrolling here on the right side. You guys can hopefully take a look and see. Fedarian Mathis, defensive tackle. Ed Oliver's been the IR. The list goes on and on. With that being said, Jake, Aaron Rodgers has not been good. The Steelers are somehow winning like turnover battles. I had them last week. I had them first half money line and at +3, so I had a win in the push, which was nice. Unless somehow Tomlin pulls out the voodoo where he's getting all these turnovers like they did. Even they did it against the Bears. They still lost that game. I think we might just see a Josh Allen masterclass against a pretty soft defense and an overall like not great football team.
Yeah. I mean, huge game for both of these teams. Really big for Buffalo, too, especially if New England wins, which they probably should. They're playing the Giants. Like, they can't afford to be losing really any more games. They have another big game against New England. That New England got the better of the first game. They beat them back in, what was that, week 4? I forgot which week that was. But you just mentioned Josh Allen. Honestly, he hasn't seemed the same lately in the last couple of weeks. He's looked more like 2023 Josh Allen to me, where he's forcing things that he shouldn't be forcing. He's feeling uncomfortable in the pocket. He was probably used to not being touched after being the least sacked quarterback in the league last season, which, like, it's unrealistic to have that expectation every single year, I think. You good there, Eric? Or all right, I'll keep going. And then the Pitt defense, they've been pretty sound versus the pass all season. I think they can actually generate a decent pass rush and cause some problems for Josh Allen. However, they're going to be able to throw the ball regardless. I'm sorry, not throw the ball. They're going to be able to run the ball regardless, especially if they're not able to throw the ball. They could definitely rely on the run game from both their running backs and Josh. Pitt is a below average run defense, so I think they see lots of success on the ground. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, listen, Aaron Rodgers is playing. It's a huge game for their team. He's an old man. It's not like he's like trying to save himself for like he might retire after this year. Who knows? Depending on what happens this year. And it's his left wrist. It's his non-throwing wrist, and it's not like it's broken. So I think he plays. I think that's why came back on. I don't know if money came on Pitt. I didn't look at the money yet, but the line probably moved in their favor because he's definitely an upgrade from Mason Rudolph.
Buffalo down to 3. This was 4.5, as we see right here.
Really? They're down to 3?
Money coming in at Pitt. Absolutely.
Wow. Probably there wasn't even a 3 when I was looking at these games at like 1:00 today. On the Pitt side, they're definitely more efficient throwing the ball with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. But the Bills' pass defense has been shockingly so good, honestly, Eric. That's like one of the biggest takeaways this season for me. I did an AFC East preview before the season started, and the Bills' safeties, Damar Hamlin and Rapp, were the 2 lowest rated safeties in the entire league last season, and they were on the same team. And now it seems to be like their strength. Now, Damar Hamlin's hurt. Like, the thing is they have injuries. They had injuries in their secondary, and it turned out in their favor because I think they got better pieces back there than they had starting, to be honest with you. And then in the run game, the one thing that Buffalo is still bad at on the defensive side is stopping the run. But Pittsburgh can't really run the ball. So I'm leaning Buffalo, especially -3. I was leaning them -3.5. The thing is, they always find a way to win these important games, I feel like this is lining up for a marquee. Buffalo's going to grit something out. They're going to win by like a touchdown. That might not be clean. They might be sloppy in the beginning. Josh Allen might have a turnover, but he might have to rush for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns to make it happen. But he jumps over guys. He dives for pylons. Like he gets the shit done when it needs to be done. If I can get them at 3, I might lock that in. That's this is news to me. So I'm really looking at that now.
So this is a situation, Jake, and everyone listening, that I respect the market as much as anybody, as you obviously need to respect the market here. But this is one where I'm really disagreeing big time, where you're giving me Buffalo at 3 that I'm interested in. I can see the counter argument because of how bad the Bills defense is, and especially in the run, though the Steelers run game hasn't been great. Jaylen Warren's no easy guy to tackle, and they do a great job of getting guys just in space, a lot of quick underneath throws, get the ball in their yards after catch, guys in their hands, and let them try to do the rest, break some tackles, and go from there, which is the game plan we saw work with Houston against them, which is part of the reason why I like Houston in that game. So kind of contradicting myself, because the more I think about it, this game could be either the Josh Allen special where he's running for 2 touchdowns and he wills them to win and they put up a great game and win a must win, but also could be the Mike Tomlin special where it's finally everyone's Pittsburgh freaking sucks. How the hell are they, have a winning record at this point? They're so bad, and then they have forced 4 turnovers and they win by 7, and they're somehow still deep in the picture. So terrible analysis from me, not gonna lie, but I'm just torn just to see.
I'll say this too, Eric.
The coins.
Obviously, Baltimore plays on Thursday, so they're gonna kind of know how that game pans out now. They should beat Cincinnati, but Joe Burrow's back. Anything can happen in that game. That they're going to be all eyes on that game, and it might flip a switch for them. But I mean, if this goes to 2.5, are you kidding me? How can you not take Buffalo?
If it goes to 2.5, absolutely. I think I'd be hard pressed to see this get to 2.5, but that would definitely be a bet. But I guess I do see why the 4.5 money came in. But with that being said, I think it's gone a bit too far, which is the essence of betting, especially in efficient markets. We've talked about this a million times, Jake. If it's 2.5, you like one team. If it gets to 3 or 3.5, you like the other team. Those margins are that big. And this makes sense to me a bit from why it's moved in said directions. But if it moves too much, I'm definitely in on Buffalo. Jake, what's that? I was going to tee up the next one, but if you have another thought.
No, I was just going to say, let's take a moment. It's the biggest drinking day of the year, the night before Thanksgiving, and we have almost 300 people in here listening to us talk about bets on Sunday. It's pretty cool. Just wanted to shout all 290-something people, whoever's in here.
Appreciate everybody watching on X, Twitter.
This one's for you guys.
On X, right? Twitch, and YouTube. Shout out to all of you guys for hopping on in here. We got 2 games left, and I'm sure you guys have plans for right after it, so we'll get through them. No monologue for me this week, Jake. Even on Sunday Night Football for my Commanders. Not having to worry.
For you. I had a question.
I want to hear your question, and right after this quick statement. I'm sure you felt similarly last week. Not having to worry about my dog shit football team made Sunday so much better.
Welcome to my world, Eric. That's what I've been living my entire life. You just live a little freer on Sundays. You put the jersey on, they lose, you take it off, and you're just like, all right. It's going to go in the same spot. You don't have to wash it because you only wear it for 2 hours,
Yeah. And the jersey didn't even have to come out of the closet this week. We had a bye week. I almost forgot my boys existed, but obviously we're back in prime time with the number going toward Washington. Washington Commander money came in. This was 6.5, even got to 7. Now we're seeing 5.5 at some shops, though. Mostly really sitting a flat 6, though. MGM does Washington plus 5 at 105. Yeah, no, it's really a 5.5, 6, so call it 5.75, Jake. I am curious your question, though, because obviously I have general thoughts, which I'll dive into, but I am curious your question for this week's matchup.
Well, I think you might have indirectly answered it, but I was going to based on what you just said, because I'm shocked the line is what it is too, right? I'm like, we've been talking for weeks. Washington's going to squeak one out. My question is this the game? Is this the game where they squeak one out and they just outright win? Prime time. I mean, Denver, we've had mixed emotions on Denver. Like, their defense is elite, but we hate Bo Nix. Like, I'll go through what I have written down too, and you can think about the question that I asked me. It's probably a quick yes or no, but I am shocked the line is this low. Again, it's the Broncos offense though. So like, part of me is like, okay, kind of makes sense. Even though Washington's defense is like not good at all, it's the Broncos offense, which is equally as bad. There's going to be bad weather from what I'm looking at. You might know a little more on that. Denver should obviously lock down this broken Washington offense. I'm pretty sure Terry's playing, but like, still, I mean, it's not like they're fully healthy. My lean is towards the under, and I just want to rage bet Washington money line. I'll contain myself. Like, that's not at all a legit play right now. But unless Eric Scott says this is the one, if you say this is the one, I'll lock it in. But not as an official play, as like a heart play.
So here's the thing, Jake. There's a couple of things to unpack here. Terry McLaurin not only playing, quote from today, 2 hours ago, Terry McLaurin said, I don't really have any tightness in my injury area. My acceleration is there. Just kind of like that next gear that I have, but I'm just not really thinking about it at all. I definitely feel better this time, and the ramp-up process has been really good. And it was quoted that Terry McLaurin hit a top speed of 21 miles an hour on a touchdown run catch in practice from Jaden Daniels today. Jaden Daniels is not playing. If anyone thought otherwise, he's not playing this week. Might see him next week. Might see him be 15, but not week 13. The reason why I'm still anti-commies and having this week be the week goes back to coaching. Sean Payton is still one of the best coaches in the National Football League, and he is in orchestrating this offense. Now, Dan Quinn took over defensive play calling duties for this Commanders defense, but he also didn't spawn in talented football players on defense. We're still dealing with the same horrible unit. They had the bye week after coming back from Spain, so like, yeah, they had, hopefully some good times to rest, relax, get things right. And also from the Denver injury side, obviously Dobbins being out is going to be, as it has been, difficult for them. He was so good for them. Surtain is questionable. I definitely need to see what is good with Surtain, because if Surtain is out there, I still see the same issues we've seen from Washington's offense all season, where they're not going to be able to run the ball for shit. They're going to be at 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 11, try to run it or do a quick pass, incomplete or get 3 yards. Then we're 3rd and 8, we're 3rd and 11. We're not getting that conversion. We're punting the football back to the other team. Bo Nix is horrible. We've talked about it a million times. But when there's something like this better offensive schematic from Sean Payton versus a horrible defense that Washington has, I will err still toward the offensive side of the ball. So what I'm basically saying is, if any defense is going to make Bo Nix look competent, it's going to be a defense as bad as the Washington Commanders defense. We saw what he did, even though it came in the fourth quarter against this Giants defense. And those are two defenses that I think are more comparable, even like Dallas's, which is better. They still hung a 44 spot on. Guess that was at home here, but Washington's HFA is getting a bit better, though it's still not like a very valuable home field advantage here. And yes, the rest advantage is there. Jake, I don't think this is the week. This could be the week for a cover, but the week for them to win a game, I don't think so. I think still too many things are advantageous for the Broncos. And if this does get to like a 5.5, like a serious one, maybe I'm more interested. But I do actually like your look on the under here, because if the way Knicks has played, like we've seen them somehow put up some massive like scoring outputs, and it has been against horrible defenses. And their defense has had times where they have allowed teams to play well. With the interceptions Matt was throwing in Madrid, like, I still can't get there, man. Even with Terry back, if Surtain plays, absolutely not. But I just think that we're still punching at minimum a weight class above, if not 2.5.
Listen, the only thing that made it weird for me is why it was moving in so far in Washington's favor, and I already had thought the line was short. Like, you're looking at a Denver team with 2 losses or whatever versus a Washington team. And I'm like, what? Look at the lines that are already out there. We have the Rams are 10.5 point favors against Carolina. Like, there's And then we had this game, 4.5, 5.5. I'm just like, something's not right. And then you see, like you just said, Denver's offense sucks. Denver's defense is great. Washington's offense, not really that great. They should be contained by Denver's defense. And then Washington's defense is nothing crazy, but like I lean the under. No play though. Next game, I got plays for next game though. Let me tell you, Monday Night Football. I don't think I've ever had this strong a takes on a Monday Night Football game this early in the week. I'll tell you that.
So I know what your plays are, and I'll tee it up in just 2 seconds here and let you run wild with it. My last thing I'll say, because looking at the screen right now, if you have a B365 account and at minus 118, you could bet the Broncos minus 4.5. Pull that trigger right away. And I think it's fair that you believe that this, the same way I believe Seattle, Detroit, KC should be 20-point favorites over Washington, and they blew them out. I think it's fair to believe that. And I am also surprised with how this went here, Jake. But Monday Night Football, Patriots hosting the Giants, Patriots winning but not covering against the Bengals. The Giants, of course, taking the Lions to OT. I didn't mention this then, but I will mention it now. Part of also the reason, because neither of us mentioned this, but I know we handicapped this, like the OT aspect for the Lions last week. Teams coming off OT playing Thursday are like 20% against the spread or something like that in the last like 5 or so years. I'll pull up the exact stats. But and again, we don't bet trends, but trends and situations are not equal. That's more of a situation. But I'm rambling a bit here. We'll go back to this game, Jake. We've talked about it a few times where eventually there's got to be a spot where with certain teams, one of them being the Patriots, where it's time to bet against them. Is that is that how you're going with it this week?
Kind of, sort of. And listen, call me crazy, but I think the Giants have a little swagger right now. You can call me crazy because they have 2 wins. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They have injuries all over the place, right? Every reason is saying, oh, why? This is what Jameis Winston does. In case you haven't watched him the last half a decade, he brings great energy, usually to a bad team in a backup quarterback type of format, right? He plays hard no matter what, and he's not afraid to take shots, and he has a lot of fun. He's scoring touchdowns. They're all doing crazy celebrations. He's doing handshakes with frickin' Jackson Dart on the sideline. They're smiling. They're having fun. Like,
well, Jay, I have to cut you off though quickly because how sure are you that Jackson Dart's not playing?
Is he not playing? I mean, is he playing?
Jackson Dart is still technically in the protocol, but he practiced in full today. And based on the timing of the protocol, it's been 2 weeks. It's very likely he's cleared. There's a very good chance Jackson Dart. I would say it's conservatively 50-50 coin flip if Jackson Dart starts. That's conservative.
I was literally mid breakdown for Jameis. This is all based on Jameis playing. So let me start with that there. Now I have plays locked in. Even if Jackson Dart plays, these aren't. I still will back these plays because of a lot of the things that are happening on the New England side as well. I also feel like when teams are eliminated from the playoff, they play way more freely. Like, I don't think the Giants expected to do anything crazy this year. Look at their quarterback situation starting the year. Neighbors gets hurt really early on. Like, what were they going to do? They weren't going to go and win the Super Bowl. Let's be real. I think they swallowed that pill way early on. So now they're in like this chemistry building. Obviously, they're in a rebuild phase. Aside from what I said with Jameis, I like it with either quarterback that plays. I think Jameis does bring a different aspect, or maybe he jolted some life back into them, even if Jackson Dart plays. New England's pass defense has been the Achilles heel all season for them. So if Jameis plays, I think he's going to sling the rock all over them. I even think Jackson Dart, if he plays, he will see some success, even as bad as he's been. I mean, we all know, like way back when Brady, Eli Manning days, you think these kids weren't watching that rivalry in, 10, 15 years ago, or 10 years ago. Oh my gosh, definitely 15, 20 years ago now, close to that. And then the New England's run defense has been their bread and butter, but that's even fallen apart in the last few weeks. They allowed 120 versus Cincinnati, where Chase Brown had 107 rushing yards. I mentioned that earlier. 140 to the Jets. Now, some of that was Justin Fields, but still 113 to Tampa Bay. They haven't been able to run all season. So I think that no matter what, the Giants are going to see some success on offense. This is a huge look-ahead spot for New England as well. They have Buffalo and Baltimore on deck, who are really their only tests all season, minus the Buffalo game that New England played. other than that Buffalo game, like who have they played that you could say is at the same level of Buffalo or Baltimore, minus Baltimore's record without Lamar? Like we know how capable they are of being a really good team. Huge look ahead spot. I have a best bet here. I have two. My first best bet is the New York Giants first half plus 4.5, minus 110 on FanDuel. Lock that in. I think New England's pass defense hasn't been good all season, and they could struggle versus whether it's Jameis or Jackson Dart. And they've been trending in the opposite direction versus the run as well. Not saying that the Giants have this crazy run offense, but it definitely doesn't help that New England's not been good against the run. It took the New England offense until the second half to wake up versus Cincinnati last week too. They had a pick 6 in the first half. That's how they scored one of their touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Again, big look ahead spot. So I think they come out to a slow start in a primetime game. The Giants have nothing to lose. And then with that being said, I took the Giants team total over as my second best bet. I took New York Giants team total over 18.5 at minus 120 on FanDuel. I still like 19.5 too, if that's all you can get at this point. I think they score at least 20 because of everything that I just mentioned above. Plus, they've cleared this number in their last 6 games. So this is with Jameis and with Jackson Dart, regardless. In the last 6 games versus Detroit, Green Bay, San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Denver. Now, Chicago and San Fran are exceptions here because they're not the best, but the other 4 are just as good, if not better, than this New England defense, especially right now. So you're telling me they can't put up at least 20 points against them? I find that hard to believe. So yeah, New York Giants first half plus 4.5. New York Giants team total over 18 or 19.5, whatever you can get. Obviously, if you can get an 18.5, it's the better number. But yeah, that's where I stand here, Eric. I mean, call me crazy, but I'm confident in those two is.
I have no disagreements, but I think you're just going to have to stomach the fact that Jackson Dart's playing. And I only say that because from what I read, I said 50-50 because he practiced and like they have an independent neurologist and like the coaches are speaking as if he's going to play. But the sports books are who knows all. Jackson Dart has a full array of prop lines up. But when you search for Jameis Winston, there's nothing available. So that's not like, because in these situations where they don't know, they're not always offering lines. Yes, it's like a win-win for the books because like they could just, of course, pull them if it's just a void, right? If everyone's betting Jackson Dart ends up being ruled out, and the game being Monday gives them an extra day to clear the protocol. But to be the bearer of bad news from just like the overall perspective, we have a
it really stinks because even when I was looking, it was all Jameis Winston props. I was like, oh, he's definitely playing because of that same thought process. I was like, oh, there's no Jackson Dart props. So that's a shame. But regardless, I mean, they're already locked in. It's not like I'm talking myself further into it. All those stats about New England, I stay true to my word there. Like, I'll die on that hill. They have a big look ahead spot. Their defense has not been looking as good. They got off to a really slow start, did not look good last week against a bad Cincinnati defense, like bad Cincinnati defense. So, yeah.
So the one thing I will say, I'd be then devil's advocate because I have a strong take either way. Will Campbell being out for the Patriots is also huge. Like, I'm very curious to see how this offense does without their rookie LT who's been a stud.
Yeah, that's earlier.
But quarterbacks coming off concussions, like, generally, like, aren't great. Like, CJ Stroud, we know is coming off a concussion as well. We still like Houston, but Stroud, took the 2 weeks, as did Dart here. I am a bit nervous about Dart coming off the concussion, and not because I don't think he's going to start sliding and, like, might re-injure himself, though that's obviously possible, and Jameis coming in would actually be better for you probably. But I am curious to see Dart off a concussion. Isn't something I'm dying to back. And like we said, the Patriots are on the list of teams that I cannot wait for my right opportunity to not just bet them against the spread and fade them against the spread, but take the other team straight up on the money line. For me, it's just not this week for New England or Chicago. Well, Chicago is a massive dog, so they don't count. But there are a couple of teams, Washington, from a dog perspective, one actually being Tennessee, but Washington, Tennessee, where I'm just like excited for my opportunity to bet them on the money line as big dogs. On the opposite side, teams I'm excited to fade are the Bears and the Patriots. But for me, Jake, this isn't the week that I'm putting the money on the Giants money line against the Patriots.
The way you started that comment, the way you started, you were like, "Is this?"
I thought, because I know that you had some Giant first half spread.
name I
So I
plays.
thought you were saying that. I wanted to tee you up, but in terms of the Jameis versus Dart, like I had no idea that your overall cap was like predicated on a Jameis.
No, I know. I'm glad you said it. The thing is, I lock these plays in so early that like there is news that breaks that I try to stay on top of as the day goes on before the stream, but like there's nothing changing my write-ups that I had prior to that. So, and I genuinely did not even know about the Jackson Dart news until you just told me.
I've missed bet injuries. This
Happens.
won't be the last time. It's all in the game, boys. All in the game.
Yeah.
We try to get our CLV and make good bets at all times, but we're all human and bad bets are going to be made, and that's why you keep on betting. So, boys, let's read through everything that we have so far. We have a pretty great slate, mostly starting on Thursday with what we've bet so far. But Jake and I, in strong agreement, we both bet Packers +3. I also already bet the money line as well. Chiefs, Cowboys, I bet over 52 and Kareem Hunt touchdown. Jake has Dak Prescott 24 plus completions. Jake has Bengals, Ravens first half total under 26.5. I have Lamar Jackson over 20.5 rushing yards. Both lean Philly minus the 7, but Jake likes Philly over 26.5.
Yeah, the touchdown night too, Eric. Don't forget that.
We have a touchdown parlay for Thanksgiving, boys. We have Kareem Hunt anytime, Jamar Chase anytime, Matthew Golden anytime, and Rashee Rice anytime plus 31.90. So that's the touchdown parlay for Thanksgiving. Back to the plays, though. We're both in strong agreement. We both lean Houston. Again, I stream tomorrow, Friday, and Sunday, so I'll have everything locked in, boys. So make sure you're tapping in. Jake, loving Jacksonville minus 6.5. I'm loving Tennessee money line. Screw the points. Give me the dogs. Jake also loving Miami minus 5.5. Both in the agreement that LA minus 10 is probably the right side, though no bet. Both of us leaning Atlanta minus 2.5. Jake really liking the under 39.5. I'm liking Seattle full game spread minus 11.5. Jake liking first half spread minus 6.5. Jake likes Commies under 44.5, hosting the Broncos. I'm still so undecided on my points, on my plays there. And Jake locked in Giants first half spread plus 4.5 and Giants over 18.5 team total. And then these are the props that we mentioned here. I already faded some Purdy, and Jake also bet Genty anytime touchdown in that Raiders-Chargers game. But on behalf of Jake and I want to wish everybody a great Thanksgiving. I'll be, again, on stream at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, boys. So make sure you are there, ready to go. We're using every single boost and promo, betting crazy parlays, first touchdowns, EV bets, the whole nine. You guys who have been with me know what's good. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you follow at Money Badger Bets and at Go Bet Smart. Watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're interested in trying Outlier, click the link under the tweet on Twitter or in the description on YouTube. 7-day free trial. Give it a go. And we'll see you boys next week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.